Folks at Oakville Matters.
Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. This is the local television show made possible by Cogeco Cable that allows us to talk with the residents of Oakville about what really matters to our town and its future. With us today to talk about the role of innovation in our future are Rena Carlini, who's the CEO of Haltech, and Rick Stomphorst, who's the founder of Silicon Halton. Doesn't that have a great sound? And Dorothy St. George, who's the Director of Economic Development in Oakville. And welcome, and thank you for joining me today on this. Rena, tell us what Haltech is out to do.
Well, Haltech is working in all across the Halton region in serving Oakville as well as Burlington, Milton, and Halton Hills.
But who loves you the best?
Absolutely. Our office currently is in Oakville, but we are also increasing our presence across the region. What we do is we work with technology companies, startups, entrepreneurs, and we help them advance and accelerate innovation by helping them transform their good ideas and products and services into well-positioned growing ventures. So we provide a lot of business acceleration services and support, coaching, introducing them to investment opportunities and funding opportunities, and much more. And that's what we do in the region as a nonprofit organization.
And do they pay you for these services?
No, as a nonprofit, we're actually funded and supported by the Government of Ontario, the Ministry of Economic Development and Growth, as well as the Ministry of Research, Innovation and Science. And as such, those services are free to those technology startups and
So the Government of Ontario is helping us grow businesses in the high-tech sector in Oakville and Halton?
Absolutely, and in fact, if I may add, we are one of 17 regional innovation centers across the province, and we're a member of what's called the One Network, or Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs.
Oh my God. Rick, I remember Silicon Halton starting up at a pizza joint and standing on a chair,
yes,
talking to you guys and saying that you were a breath of fresh air and a good thing to happen. Tell us how you came to start.
Yeah, myself, I'm one of the co-founders, and myself and my other two co-founders are Rima Dougal and Chris Herbert. I kind of jokingly say we were kind of sitting around like typical Canadians, bemoaning the fact that nothing like this existed in the area. And then one of my co-founders, I know it wasn't me, said, well, why don't we start something? I thought, yeah, why don't we? So we started off very modest, you know, at pizza joints, standing up on chairs, hollering. And about what we are now is launching in 2009. We're a grassroots, community-driven group of technology enthusiasts who make a living or work in the technology industry. And we kind of, our three pillars are community, technology, and growth. Everything we do encompasses those pillars in some way, shape, or form. So we run a number of events throughout the month. We're self-funded. Some of the events are absolutely free. Some events people pay to go to. And it's just been a great experience over the last 7 years now, and some almost 100 meetups later, monthly meetups later. We've grown to about 1,500 people. And we've literally seen, you know, companies start as just an idea and then start to grow. We're not just focused on startups. We're focused on the bigger companies as well, helping them kind of get an entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, you guys were definitely far-sighted pioneers, because the entire group fit in that funny little almost a garage at the start.
Yeah.
And 1,500, you're not fitting in very many places anymore.
And we don't have all 1,500 coming out to any one event, and sometimes we might still fit in that venue. But we had say for example, last month we had an event, a demo night, and we had about 100 people at the QE Park facilities in Oakville. And just again, an opportunity for companies to showcase what they're building. Some startups, one group of students, and then one like fairly large company that had a new product.
And which part of QE are you using for those
We're
sessions?
using the black box room.
That black box is pretty amazing room.
Yeah, it's a funky room.
Because you can do anything you want there.
Yeah.
You could do a TV show there.
Yeah.
So Dorothy, you're responsible for our award-winning economic development strategy that has not only won awards but actually guided some pretty impressive growth on the economic side in terms of job creation in our town. Can you help the people at home understand how you came to do that?
Well, the strategy was developed almost 10 years ago, and we looked at the assets in our community. And when you think about the people and the strengths of the people living in Oakville, we have a great strengths in professional services, life sciences, digital media. We also have institutions like Sheridan College that are really driving a lot of innovative work in the community. So the strategy is focused on 4 main pillars: advanced manufacturing, life sciences, digital media and animation, and professional services. And economic development is marketing Oakville as a place for investment primarily in those target sectors. So we work with companies in the community on business retention and expansion, and we've seen a lot of growth in our existing companies, but we're also getting interest from regional, from national, and international companies investing in Oakville.
We are, and we've done a little bit of foreign travel in aid of that as well, I know. But how much has it helped you growing up in Oakville and knowing Oakville the way you do? It's like coming back to Oakville is like coming home, and knowing the community, understanding where the growth is happening is a big benefit to what I do. And you have an MBA, right?
Yes, I do.
So what was your motivation? What were you trying, when you set out to go on that track as you were developing yourself, what were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking of positions or career development. I was thinking about projects and things that I wanted to achieve. One of the exciting projects in Oakville that's very much of interest to me is the proposed Life Sciences and Technology District adjacent to the new hospital. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. We saw that in the development of our economic strategy as a health-oriented mixed-use node, and it's so exciting to see a private sector developer coming in and helping us realize that vision.
It is too, and I'm hoping that we get that launched this year. And Rick and Rena and Dorothy, the Innovation Hub that we're opening in downtown Oakville, subject only to council's approval, which I'm sure that council's going to do. What can we look to that for?
Well, we've had a lot of discussion with our partners, with Silicon Halton, with Haltech, with Sheridan College, with various businesses in the community, and all of them see a need for a geographic location in Oakville to help foster that culture of innovation. And certainly Haltech and Silicon Halton have been amazing partners in bringing together the people. And through those discussions, we realized we need space for these companies to grow. And the former post office site on Church Street will allow us to bring those people together and help with that delivery.
So, Rick and Rena, what kind of a hand have you had in this Innovation Hub?
We've been providing just a lot of thought. I'll say leadership. I don't perhaps be that bold, but just a lot of input into what our thoughts are. And for that hub, for example, I see it kind of like that that green Lego board that we used to play with. Kind of starts off blank, but everybody's going to come to the table and add little pieces to it. And eventually, we don't exactly know what's going to come out of that, but like Silicon Halton we launched, we didn't quite know what was going to happen, right? We just a leap of faith, and good things will happen once it gets going.
Rena, what's your take?
Well, Dorothy and I have had lots of conversations about it since probably when it first came around, the notion of developing the space for that. And I also, because we're incubated within the Sheridan College, I hear some of that conversation from the Sheridan College side too. So everyone's very excited about it. In my view, the space makes the place. So you really have to have a defined space for innovation and for it to be sort of a center point of gathering for tech innovators, business leaders who want to leverage some of those innovations. And it has to reflect the feeling of newness and forward thinking and progress that's happening. What we have is we have probably over 100 companies, I think close to 120 companies in our portfolio, all tech companies, primarily startups and some that are now in a high growth positioning. about 40% of them are from Oakville. And that's a sizable number across the region. And they're doing really interesting and innovative things, gaining funding, award grants, all kinds of exposure. And that place could serve as a place to really promote them, to actually even offer them an opportunity to co-locate or spend some time there to promote their products if they already have their own office space. A lot of these companies, though, are looking for short-term office space for about a year or two maximum, because they're still growing their businesses and they need something that's a short-term commitment within a community of similar-minded, like-minded entrepreneurs and technology innovators. So we don't have such a space anywhere in Oakville like that right now, and much less across Halton region. And so this would be a very exciting center point of attraction for Oakville and really showcase all of those wonderful companies that, in fact, Haltech is working with right now. And I'd love to give examples of some of those companies if you'd like to know more.
Well, we definitely would like to hear about them, and they would enjoy a shout out. Dorothy and I have seen innovation centers in China with, and this is the most interesting observation I had from the ones, they have young people from all over the world working in their innovation centers. They're magnets for talent around the world, and obviously very good for their own young people and entrepreneurs as well. The first innovation center that I ever saw was back when David Johnson was head of the University of Waterloo. He's a friend of my wife's, and he invited us up and gave us a tour of their innovation center that they rightly very proud of. And asked me, and what do you have? And I had to say, well, nothing yet, but we're getting there now. And they say the municipal level is the fastest acting level of government, by the way, so go figure. I know that some shout-outs would be very welcome to the people that are chasing their entrepreneurial dreams. And who are you going to start with?
Well, I actually have, if I may, 3 companies that I want to give a shout out to, and we have many more in Oakville, so it's not exclusive to these 3. But I'm so proud of the work that they've done, and I really think everyone in the town of Oakville should be proud of them. The first probably that comes to mind is Cloud DX. Cloud DX is co-founded by Dr. Sonny Coley, who is actually a ICU physician at the Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital. And that's his full-time job. But he has this fantastic company with an excellent team behind him, building and growing over the last 2 years. And what has that company accomplished? Not only what are they doing, they have a cloud-based software platform with associated medical devices to be able to do the kind of real-time monitoring and diagnostics and treatment for patients that can actually be used by the patients directly, not just by the doctors. What were some of the major accomplishments? They recently won the X Prize for medical tricorder technologies, as in Star Trek tricorder. Fantastic technology, the first ever Canadian team to win the X Prize.
There's an interesting thread from that leads back to the new Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital. It's thanks to the province investing, more than $2 billion in that thing, that some of this is possible, because that hospital is set up to be a fully wired cloud hospital, so that wireless communication among the doctors and the other health staff is woven into the daily practice of the hospital.
Absolutely, and I will say this too, that over the last year to 18 months, because of the hospital having been built and open and operating, all of a sudden we've seen a 4 to 5 times increase in the number of healthcare and life science companies coming to Haltech for support and advising. And, we were quite surprised that they all came and wondered why. And when we inquired with them, it was clearly the hospital. They saw an opportunity as entrepreneurs to try to bring their technologies as solutions to the challenges healthcare challenges that may be present in this region. And every region has a certain level of healthcare challenges that they would like to transform into digital technology solutions. So absolutely, Oakville is a very good municipality and region, including with the hospital partners, the college, and many of these companies like Cloud DX to capitalize on these fantastic innovations that are actually being recognized and awarded internationally by organizations like XPRIZE. I would also like to point out, if I may, a couple of other companies very quickly, different than healthcare. The second one is called the Sky Guys. The Sky Guys, and they are a Internet of Things company for UAV or unmanned aerial vehicle or drone inspection for the industrial sector. So they have really grown tremendously. Young entrepreneurs over the last 2 years have secured over $2 million in capital investment very quickly, very savvy, young yet serial entrepreneurs based here in Oakville. They've created even a spin-out lab called Defiant Labs where they're designing fixed-wing drones to do long-range drone inspections over a 10 to 12-hour period over terrain like oil and gas fields, pipeline inspections, powerhouses, agricultural terrains, all across Canada and even in the U.S. So I hope we're going to hear more and more of the Sky Guys, but they're certainly getting attention and positioning themselves to be leaders in the drone inspection for the industrial Internet of Things market. The third company I'd like to point out, great Oakville company that's actually been around almost 15 years, started as a family business, and now being operated and run by two of the daughters who are two sisters running as CEO and COO. The company is called Club Runner. And Club Runner, based here in Oakville, essentially does software as a service for club management, membership management for many nonprofit and charitable organizations across the world, such as the Rotary Clubs, Kiwanis, Lions, and Knights of Columbus, and many others. Why they're so exceptional is that they're now in a very good position for growing and accelerating, and have seen the last 5 years growing from a family-run business to a real high-growth tech company, to the point that they were recognized on the Profit 500 list last year of Canada's 500 fastest growing technology companies. And that's an amazing achievement for this company. So watch out for them. They will be doing very well as a software, as a service company.
I hadn't heard of any of those, so they're keeping their lights low, I guess. But I have heard of others that have impressed me, and so it's great to know there's so many. Rick, who's hot in Silicon Halton? And I don't. You know, I think of Oakville as an important partner in Halton. It's always a surprise to residents when they discover that Oakville is a municipal service delivery corporation, and so is Burlington and Milton and Halton Hills, and together we own and operate a municipal service corporation above us called the Regional Municipality of Halton, and that's where, in a cooperative and neighborly way, we handle the really big, expensive things that we can't do on our own, so we require partnership. So we all think of ourselves on Oakville Council as part of that bigger thing as well, and I think most residents of Halton understand that they're part of a bigger thing, not just Halton, but a bigger thing called Ontario and an even bigger thing called Canada. So you guys, Halton's in your names for a reason. What's exciting in Silicon Halton?
Kind of like part of what Rima said there is it's really inspiring to see all these tech companies that you don't know about. You don't see big signage on the QEW. So one company might have been at the very first meetup that you were at, a company called iView Systems in Oakville. And they do, I don't think they like me describing it this way, but they do incident management software for large hospitality properties. So if an incident happens in the hotel room, on the casino floor, in the parking lot, they have this consolidated system that can bring it all together. And what I really admire about them is when I had met them, they virtually weren't selling in Canada. Yet here they're based in Oakville, actually, right? And they're, created, a bunch of jobs in Oakville, selling for the most part, well, not most part, almost exclusively at that time, internationally, right? So bringing money into. And when you hear companies doing stuff like that, you go like, wow, right? They were one of the reasons why, we were inspired to keep moving forward with Silicon Halton, because we didn't know about them. And we learn about more companies today from REMA, and you just continue to learn about companies. There's a company in, we're not just focused on Oakville, a company in Burlington called Questica. They do budget management software for municipalities. So the city of Burlington uses it, for example, to manage their capital budget year over year, and they sell all across North America. And they were one of the presenters at our demo night last month, because they've come out, we had another add-on companion product, and they've created tons of jobs. And I'm sure you're familiar with Geotab in Oakville, right? Yeah. And how they specifically came here to start a company, and they're now up to 200 plus technology jobs that didn't exist here 5 years ago.
And telling me they're growing.
And they're continually growing, right? It's like, wow, right? And it's super inspiring to see these jobs are building here, because I guess typical Canadians would think all this is happening down the valley or in Toronto or in Waterloo. But no, there's like a huge number of high-tech companies right here. Mm-hmm. And so something like the Innovation Center will start to bring, Innovation Hub, will start to bring more of those young companies out of their basements and garages, because like Rima was saying, or was it Dorothy, they can't necessarily afford a long-term commitment. They don't know if they're going to be in business 5 years, let alone in 5 months. So those type of venues get them out of the home office and then start to mingle with other tech entrepreneurs, and they're going to stumble across other resources in the community. We're all interdependent on each other here.
Well, there's two benefits from this culture of innovation. The first, I think, that matters probably the most to people is this is an engine of our continued prosperity. I've been driving our bridge building to the Chinese economy, saying that we can't maintain our prosperity by just trading business cards with each other. We've got to get out in the world. But equally, we can't maintain our prosperity if we aren't innovating and growing new businesses. Innovation has another benefit to the residents, which is the culture and atmosphere of innovation is very important for the town government, the town service delivery itself. We are under constant pressure. Council and I place constant pressure on the town manager to develop innovative ways to deliver the services that residents want, so that we can keep tax increases at or below inflation. And that can't be done without innovation and renewal and, frankly, very hard-eyed looks at how we do things. Mm-hmm. And so you will have seen over the last 11 years innovations and changes in the way we deliver certainly our most expensive services. Transit is one, for example, where we've introduced a number of innovations, and we're continually out there on the bleeding edge of innovation there. One of the things that Oakville is really unique for is the amount of volunteering, the number of community groups. This is a really important part of the health of our community, the strength of our community, the knowing each other and working together to make a better place to live. And I'm hoping that some innovator, maybe you've already met them and you can tell me about it, will come up with what I'll call volunteer, some kind of soft online platform that would allow people to register as a would-be volunteer and get connected with something that they want to be involved in. We don't really have that kind of village commons, the electronic version of a village commons where you match up each other with what you want to do.
But we are starting it in the old-fashioned way, which is bringing companies together to help us solve challenges for the city, to help Oakville become that smart city and the most livable town in Canada. And we're just in the planning stages for a vendor day, so we can identify challenges we want to face, such as transportation, parking, things in the community, and we're inviting companies to come in and give us smart city ideas and technologies and solutions to those. And this started with a group in Oakville companies that came together as part of the Oakville chapter of the Professional Engineers called Halton Champions of Innovation. And they met with town staff. We looked at the Lakeshore Road reconstruction project, and they identified technologies that we can build in to future-proof the downtown area for Oakville.
Certainly businesses in the downtown and on Kerr Street and in Bronte, all those traditional small town business street environments that we value would benefit from innovation. I know our taxi companies need to innovate in some way to compete with Uber and Lyft and all of those. And frankly, transit remains a problem for us. We've got to figure out some way to make transit more accessible, more usable, and the innovator who's going to do that for us has not shown up yet. I've looked at Uber's transit ideas, and I don't think they're going to work. But we definitely have got to get more and more into on-demand services.
And big companies like Ford are exploring solutions like that with the recent purchase of Chariot.
That's right.
Yeah, let's hope that that'll turn into something. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that from them.
If I may add, it's a great trend, actually. That's an example of microtransit that's following the kind of Uber platform model, but for shuttle bus kind of management as an alternative to municipal investment in transit, to expand it and make it a bit more convenient and less rigid to timelines and schedules. But just to the point about putting out the challenges that Dorothy makes, I think that more of that is great to have in municipalities. The USA has had for many decades what's called the SBIR program, government-funded program to fund research and innovation to tackle big challenges in cities and communities across the USA, and companies as well, but mostly at a municipal or state level. Ontario has now just started to do a similar model called the Ontario Small Business Innovation Challenge. And that was really just launched since March. And so I think it's a great opportunity for municipalities at the city level or regional level, you know, to put out those kinds of opportunities and say, here are the challenges in our municipality. We'd like those opportunities, and maybe there might be a small little bit of fun to bring out those ideas forward and sort of incentivize them to come forward.
Well, on that note, we're out of time, but I'm sure that good things are coming on the innovation front. Thanks for being with us today.